Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad that you guys made it. Thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your busy lives to be with us, to play with us, and to learn with us. I'm really excited about really just talking to you about what we've created here and telling you and explaining to you why we need to really reset and restore these base systems of the body so we can restore all the other systems on top with ease. And I had the vision to be able to make this cleanse years and years ago. It's only with COVID that I really get the impetus to put this all together here for you. And I'm passionate about this work because I've been doing it for a long time and it's really benefited me personally. And so I'm a believer. I just want to be able to share this transformational work with you. I've been seeing patients, with all types of conditions chronically, whether it's autoimmunity that's been told by the system that there's no resolve, or there's hormonal imbalances and mood imbalances, etc. And we're able to really transform the system pretty quickly when you're doing the right things. And a lot of you have been my patients in the past that experienced some of these benefits. But I wanted to create a systematic framework where we could have this group healing experience where we can support each other through this process. Because I know that doing this stuff yourself can be hard, and with others, we can be more motivated and really support each other on this healing journey. And so I'm so happy that you guys are here today, and I hope you guys just get some kind of benefit of this. We wanted to do this so it's accessible by a lot of people because, frankly, functional medicine is inaccessible to a lot of people because of the cost. But we can do this all together, and because of that, we're able to offer this at a much, much cheaper price to make it affordable. But we want to make it so it's also still individualized. So we're going to be, doing questionnaires and things to really be able to keep account of everyone and where they are and be able to offer individualized guidance throughout this process as well. And so I am very, very excited to share with you guys more. And I promise by the end of this, you guys will understand more about your own bodies and your own health and really what we need to do to have a vibrant life forever forth, because we all deserve that. And so thank you so much for all those that have already joined us here. And, with this unique and challenging time currently, I think a lot of people are feeling disconnected and feeling isolated. And another big component of this is that we will be having time at the beginning of each group session to be able to share and connect more deeply with each other, share our triumphs and share our challenges, just to be seen in those. And so today we are going to skip that portion because we have a lot of people in this first session, but we'll open that up to everyone that is fully joined in for the full cleanse and the full journey. And so we're going to keep on going now, and thank you again for joining us. I think most people are in. You ready to go? Okay, great. Let's do it. And so first I want to introduce you to our team. I am David Morcom. I'm really passionate about the work I've done. I've been in the patient's shoes, really been in this diagnostic odyssey to figure out how to heal myself from some pretty traumatic injuries, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And I really, like bringing in what I've learned through my doctorate in pharmacology, the nitty gritty, the details of the biochemistry. I like to combine it with a lot of the, just the herbal, intuitive, integrative understanding of the body and the world around us. So excited to be your host through this journey. Chelsea?
Hi, my name's Chelsea Albo, and I have worked as a registered nurse in Canada for the last few years. I'm a clinician, I'm a mama, I'm a partner, I love to garden, and I'm an artist. And I'll be leading us through some of the food and lifestyle exercises throughout the course. And just some quick logistics, if you're new to Zoom, we're all muted at the moment. We will unmute later at the end of the session for questions. Also, with the view in the top right-hand corner, you can either click speaker view, or you can also show a community view grid video. It looks kind of like a waffle in the top right-hand corner. And you can also type in the chat if you have questions, and I can take some of those down for David. And introducing Danielle.
Hey everybody, I'm Danielle. I've been in correspondence with some of you, so it's really cool to see your faces. I manage the admin flow at Integrative Wellness RX. And for the purposes of this journey, I will be the conscious practice facilitator. So I'm a registered yoga teacher and a meditation instructor. I'm also an end-of-life doula / integrative care doula. Hopefully most of us here will live happy and healthy lives that hopefully none of us are super close to end of life, but I do take the big transition of what end of life brings into the practice, because I feel like we're always in a constant place of transition and healing. And our bodies have an intelligence, our bodies hold stress, our body holds and feels emotion. So my specialty is working with the body, with calming the mind, with the breath, for a deeper relationship of tuning into our bodies. Thank y'all for having me here.
Thank you, Danielle and Chelsea. Yeah, we have a great team here together. We all have our individual specialties, and there's going to be lots of gifts that we'll be sharing with you guys throughout the course. And so I want to start off today just by going over a quote here. The world is round, and the place which may seem like the end may also be only the beginning. And I like this because sometimes when we are in this place where we're suffering, we're in pain, we're not feeling our best, and we try to do so much to really get that optimal health we feel like we deserve, we can feel defeated. And sometimes though, we can just open up that this is the beginning of a new journey. And this here is a teacher to really teach us and push us to the next state where we can grow and learn and be a better version of ourselves. And so this very much was my experience, and this is why I'm so passionate about functional medicine. Over 10 years ago, I got hit by a car, and before that had another very big bicycle accident, all the same place to the head. And the first one taught me, really connecting me into my body with a lot of things like meditation and yoga. It really helped me heal almost 100%. But that second injury, right to the brain, it really knocked off a bunch of things for me. And I was very young at the time. And so I was forced to be in a position of really trying to heal myself with the knowledge that I had. And I realized that there wasn't a lot of people that could support me in the ways that I needed support. And, even when you go to a natural medicine doctor, sometimes they're focusing on the more superficial symptoms. Like I was really fatigued and couldn't focus and having a lot of anxiety and pain and couldn't sleep. And so, I became really acquainted with the herbal world. Some of my most favorite medicinal allies I met at that time, holy basil really helped with my anxiety, and St. John's wort and valerian root helped me sleep again. These adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha helped me give energy so I could finish my doctoral work. But I realized that at the end of the day, a lot of times this is just more superficial systems, watering of the browning leaves, and it's not going to the root fully. And for me, I damaged my brain, which immediately caused a lot of intestinal permeability. That's actually the research. Within hours of having a brain injury, you get a whole bunch of intestinal permeability, which is the root source of inflammation in the body. And so it's really until I found functional medicine and not only used natural medicine, but in this more systematic therapeutic approach, was I able to really reset these base systems and all the other systems on top to just be able to continue to experience health without needing to be perfect and continue falling out of place. Because, if you're whether using allopathic medicine or whether you're using, more natural therapies, if you're just playing whack-a-mole and you're playing fire extinguisher, it'll help, but you're always going to be in that state. You're always going to be on all these supplements. You're going to be always having to be on the perfect diet. And really what I want from my patients is to have resilience and strength for the times ahead. We don't know what's ahead. There's a lot of questions right now. What is the truth? What's going on right now? But what we can do is put it into ourselves so we are stronger and more resilient for whatever is to come. So that is my hope for you, adaptability and resilience. And so a lot of you I've been seeing for a good period of time. You guys know what functional medicine is already. But I'd like to break it down to actual 6 principles, because I find this really interesting. So we're all on the same page of how we're going to approach this, because we understand how we're going to approach this. We're going to understand why this is so beneficial to really getting us feeling our optimal self. So one, it's science-based. So that means that really everything that we do, all the recommendations we make are based in the clinical research and data that we have. We have the mechanisms of actions, all these nutraceuticals and molecular medicine and these natural herbs that we're using. We know how to use them. But we want to combine this intelligently with our own intuition as well. Because, we have this quantum supercomputer of our brain that's really able to put together so many things more than, just a, lab, for example, no matter how, advanced it is. Number 2, we have biochemical individuality, just recognizes that every person is unique. And we have different reasons of why we're having the things and symptoms that we're having. And so I've looked at hundreds and thousands of genetics of the entire person. And I can tell you that really, a lot of the genetics that we have are the filtering of a lot of the things that happen in our life to create our level of health. Number 3, we have a dynamic balance of the internal and external. And so we have a lot that's going on inside of our own body that we need to look at. We have lots of advanced labs to look at that. But we have the external exposome, which we'll be talking a lot of today, of the stress and relationships and toxins we're exposed to, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a balance of both of these. And this is also a patient-centered approach. So instead of just focusing on disease, we might have a specific protocol of all the different supplements you need to take for this specific dysfunction. But really, functional medicine is not about protocols. It's trying to individualize things more specifically to people, because again, everyone's different. And also we have an integrative approach. So we want to implement all the best things of all the different parts of medicine. So it's from ancient Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine texts, but the best of allopathic medicine and a lot of the advanced lab work things we have as well. And lastly, the beauty of just recognizing the interconnections of it all, of all the physiological processes of the body. This is something that really makes this a unique understanding and really more relevant. So in the past, we had our old understanding where we would have 2 different systems. They'd be completely separate. We'd have the brain and we have the gut. You have a headache, it's a brain issue. You have a tummy ache, it's your stomach, right? But really, a better understanding, which we've come to understand over the last decades, is there's these axes of health, and the brain and the gut talk to each other. So if we have inflammation in the gut, we have inflammation in the brain. If we have a brain injury, right, that's going to cause intestinal permeability. And so, these all affect each other in a complete cycle. And sometimes we get stuck in this vicious cycle. But the new understanding is much more complicated, and it's really saying that every system is interconnected with pretty much every other system. Okay, so the brain is talking to the gut, but the gut is talking to the liver, and the liver is affecting the heart, and all of them, if they're off, are affecting your adrenals. So, this is really important to understand because, these base systems of the body here of biotransformation, which is detox, hormones, transport in our cardiovascular system, assimilation of digestion and absorption, our defense systems of the immune system, and energy metabolism, mitochondrial function. These are the base systems of the body. And really, if we can focus on these, we can have nice and healthy green leaves. But underneath this even, there's 2 systems that I found through my practice over the last decade in helping people. If we can just balance the digestion and the detoxification aspects, these are the main sources of inflammation, the main things that most people are dealing with. Again, 60% of Americans these days, because of our diet, because of the stress, because of all the factors, have gastrointestinal symptoms on a weekly basis. So we can reset these base systems, all these other systems on top start falling back into place. And so instead of focusing just on the symptoms of hormones or just on the symptoms of, say, brain health, someone could have depression and we could give them a St. John's wort, a natural medicine. But what if they actually have heavy metal toxicity and they have, fungal bacterial overgrowth and leaky gut, or they're just anemic, not getting oxygen to the brain, right? And so St. John's will never correct those underlying dysfunctions. So really, I would rather go to the gut as a functional medicine practitioner if that was the problem, and just reset that, because that's where 80% of neurotransmitters are created. And then you can just maintain using lifestyle and diet. So the things we're doing together over this period of time, we're not expecting to do, this strict and to this amount and taking these supplements forever forth. It's really trying to reset these base systems of the body so we can have a nice, healthy, vibrant tree. And when we look at the roots here, these are a lot of the lifestyle and modifiable diet factors as well. Our belief, our exposure to trauma, our relationships, our beliefs and things about the world as well. And all these things at the root here are filtered through our genetic predisposition to really affect these other systems of the body that we just talked about, which then lead into the symptoms up here. And so this is a beautiful kind of metaphor. I love using nature in any metaphor I can because I just think it's very relevant. And so 95% of chronic illness is directly linked to lifestyle and nutritional choices. So this is why this work is so important. A lot of these things that are part of this cascade that leads to chronic ill health, we're going to be focusing on very specifically just in this time together. So we're going to first go through digestive health real quick. I'm going to give you just kind of overview why this is so important, why we're focusing on this. And so we have this layer that's very delicate in our small intestine, and it's this layer of our small intestinal lining. And these are called the enterocytes, which are the cells that line it. And normally when there's food particles, they're able to go through the enterocyte itself. They're converted into safe molecules, and they can come into the bloodstream. So you can see these in the green crosses here. These are foods that were broken down and absorbed correctly. But a lot of times, what happens when we have intestinal permeability or damage to this area of the body, food particles, microbes, toxins, they just start coming into the system in between. These tight junctions are damaged. And these are highly inflammatory for our immune system. And so this concept of intestinal permeability is so key for us to understand. So I think a lot of people do because it's getting more and more popular. I hope you really understand this. And if you won't, you're going to understand it by the end of today because it affects our health more just very dramatically. And almost every person has some intestinal permeability at this point with the amount of glyphosates in our food that all damage your guts, all the sugar and things that we eat that feed all the fungus and bacteria, this dysbiosis that creates a lot of the endotoxins that create all this inflammation in our body. We're also stressed. We don't have enough time for self-care. This high cortisol release also thins this layer. We're on all these drugs. We're exposed to all these plastics and toxins and metals, which just put holes in the gut. And we have a bunch of inflammatory foods in this system as well. And, NSAIDs, one of the most popular drugs, like Advil, aspirin, etc., they just degrade and put holes in your gut too. And so, antibiotics, another drug that's very common, really causes a lot of damage to this area. So we all have a couple of these variables, I bet, and this causes a lot of damage to this area of the body. And when that happens, tight junctions are damaged, the castle wall is fallen, and the immune soldiers actually all reside right here. 80% is in between the inside of the gut and the inside of the body to protect you, so only the right things come through. But when the castle wall is fallen, the soldiers of the immune system can never sleep. They're always in this hyper-reactive mode because they feel like they're being attacked all the time. So it's like when you don't sleep for many days, maybe you yell at your partner or something, even though they didn't mean to do anything. It's because we're irritable, and this is what happens when our immune system is constantly attacked. And so first we start attacking a lot of the foods we see, so that can be the development of food sensitivities. They're not bad necessarily, but we just have damage to the gut, and they shouldn't be coming in our system, so we make antibodies to them. But if this is not dealt with and things continue to decline, our immune system gets even more hyperreactive. We start making antibodies to our own tissues. We can make antibodies to our thyroid, that's Hashimoto's, to our joints, rheumatoid arthritis, to our brain, multiple sclerosis, to our skin, eczema, psoriasis, and things. So we don't want to go there because of autoimmunity. There's longer treatment time, and allopathic system says that it's unresolvable. You can just suppress the immune system. That's all you can do. But, I've been working with people, again, for over a decade, working with things like autoimmunity. I can tell you 100% you can completely balance things and have it stop attacking self and heal. And I believe that about almost every condition. Our body is this beautiful, intelligent organism that if you give it what it needs and you take away all the things that are damaging it, holding it back, it has this innate desire to heal itself. So we just need to clear the blockades. This is why we're doing this work. And so, intestinal health right here, we've got quite a few different things. I'm not going to go through all these different aspects here, but I wanted to just point out that 80% of the immune system is here. This is what is the main source of inflammation, and 80% of neurotransmitters. So it's key to our brain health and cognition. And so these are a lot of the symptoms when you have gut issues that you're going to have. And some of them are like bloating and gas and abdominal pain, IBS, etc. These are obviously connected to digestion, but I see so many patients that come in that have zero or very little digestive issues, but still have a bunch of digestive problems going on just because the state of our world right now. And this can lead to, brain fog or less cognition, and a lot of the mucosal membranes being more inflamed with asthma and allergies. You can have other things where they just drains your adrenals, your energy system starts to go. And so this is what I would point out, that just because you don't have digestive symptoms that are really bad doesn't mean it's not affecting you fully. So you just want to do some of this root work. So if we can heal the gut, we heal our bodies. And so this root source of inflammation, again, is the gut and digestion. Inflammation is the root source of chronic disease. So it makes sense to start there. And we're going to go into this a lot more next week. So our next week is going to be very specifically on the gastrointestinal tract and how things have damaged it and how we're going to repair it. But I'll just go over it briefly right now. We use something called the 5R framework of gut restoration. Here's the first 4. And so number 1, we want to remove those things that are causing further damage. So a lot of the food sensitivities and inflammatory foods, these things can really cause a lot of problems for us. Sometimes we need to remove them for a short period of time. And then we also recognize that a lot of people have a lot of overgrowth of fungus and bacteria these days, especially with all the antibiotics that we've had. So we need to kill these off. And this is, a part that's very important, because a lot of times you might try to, change your diet, but that'll never kill these guys off. It'll never repair this system. And, this is what this 5R framework really recognizes. You can't just do one of these and expect it to just reverse everything. You can't just take a probiotic. You need to do all of these in a systematic approach, and do these using diet and lifestyle and sometimes supplements to really just reset this base system of the body so everything else falls back into place. So number 1, remove. Number 2, we're replacing, so just making sure we're really breaking down our foods. We have that strong digestive fibre so we're able to absorb nutrition to be able to feed our body. And then we need to re-inoculate. So we have lots of dysbiosis in this microbiome right now. We have 10 to the 16 bacteria in our guts and on our bodies. That's 10 times the amount of human cells. And, there's millions more viruses and everything else, and they all interact, actually. And so we need to have this in balance, again, because this is the main source of inflammation, also one of the main sources of toxicity of the body. And then lastly, we need to repair our poor guts. We need to put some love here, because our microvilli are getting damaged. We're not able to absorb that nutrition as well. And, we have a lot of intestinal permeability. So there's certain ways we can do to really repair that system as well. But the last are, a lot of people forget this one. And I think that this is just as important or more than anything else. And it's really recognizing the role of the central nervous system in gut health. And it's that if we're in this fight or flight response all the time, so we don't know how to manage our stress, or because we have all this inflammation, trauma unresolved, digestive issues, all these things emotionally, mentally, or physiologically causing inflammation in the body, can create and throw us into this fight or flight mode. And when we're in this mode, we're creating all this cortisol, all the blood moves away from our digestion, moves away from detox, and moves away from those muscles to run away from that tiger. And if that's happening all the time, it cares about survival. It doesn't care about your long-term health and flourishing. It's draining your adrenals, your battery pack, your hormones, everything else every time that happens, and weakening your immune system. So anything we do to bring us back into that place, it's going to help us and set the stage to be able to start the healing process. And this is why when we are talking about these, health and healing our bodies, stress management is key. And this is why this is a core component of every single session that we'll be doing. And we'll be dipping our toes into a variety of different practices. These practices, can be for you to self-care time and exercise and nature, but we'll be going through some meditations and some different types of yoga poses and practices and breathing techniques just to really ground you a little bit more. And you really don't need to know a whole bunch. You just need to know one that works good for you. And so we're going to give you a medley of different ones to experience and try out, and hopefully you find a couple that you can implement in your life on a regular basis. And so this first one today, we're going to take a little break, just reground back into ourselves, back into the beauty of this present moment that is always available to us. And Danielle is going to lead us for a nice, relaxing meditation. And we are just going to
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad that you're here. So as David was mentioning, meditation can be very simple. It doesn't have to be intimidating. So I just want to walk us through a very brief and easy meditation today. So if we could find a comfortable seat. So if you're seated in a chair, that's fine. Just uncross your legs. If you need to lie down, if that is more comfortable for you, you're welcome to lie down. Just making sure that the body feels comfortable and at ease. So let's just take a moment to allow the palms to rest either on the thighs or knees. If you're lying down, they can just rest by your side. I invite you to go ahead and close the eyes down. But if closing the eyes doesn't feel quite natural to you in this moment, simply find a soft gaze and just keep your gaze nice and soft on one image in front of you. And as we start today, I want to remind everyone that the point of meditation is not to stop our thoughts or to stop our mind or to even control our mind. Rather, it is to create a healthier relationship with our mind, with our emotions, with our stress response. And so that the relationship becomes one that serves our health rather than our detriment to our health, right? So throughout our practice, you may notice your mind really busy. A lot of thoughts, a lot of stories, a lot of chaos, maybe even. And just remembering that all of these things are normal. There's no problem. There's nothing wrong with you to have a busy mind. That is actually the function of our mind. That's the nature of our mind. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But remembering that we have a choice to get wrapped up in the thoughts, in the past and the future. Or we can ground ourselves in the body, in the breath, and allow and notice the reaction that our body has to our mind. So creating a relationship to where we begin to notice how one affects the other, how our breath affects our body, how our breath affects our stress response. And so this is nothing that we can necessarily mentally or intellectually figure out, rather something that we experience. So as we're here, I ask you to just simply bring your awareness into the breath. There's nothing to change, there's nothing to fix. That your experience of this moment right here, right now, is perfect just as it is. There's no need to change the rhythm of your breath, just noticing. Settling into a place of acceptance for our experience of this moment. So just bringing your awareness down into the base of the spine and into your two sit bones. Allowing your sit bones to unclench. Allowing the pelvic floor and the inner thighs to unclench. And with this unclenching, we are reminding our nervous system that we're safe. That it's okay to relax. It's okay to go into a place of rest. Unclenching the calves and the bottoms of the feet, even unclenching the toes. And just noticing your connection to gravity from the base of the spine down. Making your way up into the lower belly, the space underneath your belly button and lower back. And just noticing, are we clenching there? Is there anything that we're holding on to? Can we kind of ungrip the lower belly a little bit? So letting the belly soften. Imagining that your intestines are softening, loosening, opening for more even breath, more even flow. Just a softening. And as you soften your lower belly, we just begin to notice, is it maybe a little easier for our breath to move into that space? You might even feel the lower belly gently expanding out as you inhale, naturally drawing in towards itself as you exhale. So let's just hang out here for the next few rounds of breath before we move anywhere else. Again, just reminding you that it's normal for your mind to wander. It's normal for the body to want to fidget or move. And we have a choice to remain present. Let's just bring your awareness up the spine a little bit, maybe into the upper belly, mid-back area. If it feels good for you, or if it feels natural, you can even bring a palm gently to this area to help your mind ground its awareness in the body. And just again, feeling the breath expanding from the lower belly, now rising into the upper belly as we inhale. Just effortless. We don't have to try too hard. We don't have to force the breath. Rather, we're just allowing the breath to move in its natural rhythm as it wants. Moving our awareness up into the heart. You're welcome to bring the other palm into the heart if that feels right. Just allowing the shoulders to soften down. So remembering that as how we hold our body can inform our mind of our current state, right? So if we're clenching, if our shoulders are tense, it's informing our nervous system and our mind that we need to be in the sympathetic, we need to be in a stress response. So we can help reverse that stress response by simply softening the body, softening the heart, softening the shoulders and neck. And through that softening, we feel the breath creating spaciousness in the areas that were tight or cut off, Allowing the breath to expand into that spaciousness in the heart as we inhale. And then really productively exhaling fully, feeling that exhale really drain out of the body. When we get to the bottom of that exhale, can we really drain a little bit more? So are we allowing the breath to help us to detox, to release toxins as we exhale, helping us to increase our oxygen, increase our vitality and blood flow as we inhale, remembering that our breath can be a beautiful conduit for expansion, for growth, for healing, and for letting go. Moment to moment. Making our way now into the throat as we feel the throat center softening. Perhaps you would like to part the teeth or allow the center of the throat and trachea to open. And just simply notice the way the breath caresses the back of the throat. That's your only job. Just feeling the breath rise past the throat, all the way upward as you inhale, and then descend down into the body and heart as you exhale. Perhaps you notice a temperature or a coolness of breath as it rises in. Perhaps a warmer temperature as you exhale. And as we're focusing on throat center, just a gentle reminder, have we disconnected from the chest? Have we disconnected from the belly, the pelvis, and the ground? So reminding yourself to stay connected to the whole body as we increase our awareness now into behind the nose, in the inner ears, behind the eyes, traveling through your sinuses, traveling into the brain, all layers of the brain, all the cracks and crevices of the brain. Imagine if there was like a camera and you were that camera on the inside of your brain that's looking around at the anatomy. What does it look like? Can you feel the base of the skull and the crown of the head? All the way into the very crown of the head. And then feeling every single strand of hair extending from the crown of the head. Let's take a big in breath as you feel your breath travel from the base of the spine all the way up to the crown, almost as if your breath were in the form of like a golden light, just rising all the way up to the crown as you inhale. Exhale fully out of the mouth. As you release, we feel that breath travel back down the body, from the crown, down and out of the base of the spine and into the ground. Let's do 2 more. Deep in breath from the bottom all the way up to the crown. Gentle pause at the peak of that inhale. Exhale out of the mouth fully. Crown of the head down to the earth. Good. Last one. In breath through the nose with as much ease and as little force as possible. Easy pause at the peak of the inhale. And then exhale fully out of the mouth, descending your awareness from the crown, down the body, through and out of the base of the spine. And then feeling your whole body as one, all ungripped, all the muscles soft and relaxed at ease. Your breath moving with as little effort on your part as possible, just as if the heart beats on its own natural rhythm, allowing your breath to move in the same way. Remembering that we are always naturally trying to find homeostasis and balance, especially through our breath. So we can just step aside and allow the breath to naturally come to a place of even in and out breath with nice balance. feeling the base of the spine, feeling the crown of the head, and then centering your awareness in the heart, in the very center and the space between. And in closing, if you would like to join me, you're welcome to bring both palms to heart center. Namaste. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you, Danielle, so much for leading us through that beautiful meditation. And thank you all for practicing with us. I really find meditation in groups just really is much more powerful, and it's kind of motivation to keep your eyes closed and go deeper. So I appreciate this opportunity to do that with you all. Okay, so we're going to move into the second portion here. And so we're going to move out of this really calm and grounded state. We're going to keep as much as we can, but also open our minds for more knowledge. We're going to go into the second system that we'll be really focusing on to really tackle the second big root of inflammation in the body. And this is the accumulation of toxicity. So we need to get these things out. So our toxic world right now, it's pretty scary. And it's estimated that the average male is exposed to over 150 chemicals every single day. And women are exposed to almost double. It's pretty crazy, I mean, just from environmental aspects that we're being exposed. So this can be the heavy metals that are in our old leads and toys and amalgams, and just through pollution. We have all the hydrocarbons as well from the fossil fuels, and all the plastics and the endocrine disruptions, the xenoestrogens from, say, BPA. We have all the pesticides and the GMOs from so many of the foods, even if they're good quality and fresh, there's still these pesticide residues everywhere. They tested even, Mongolian people who have no contact with the modern world, and they still have tons of glyphosate in their system. And so these things, like glyphosate, really cause damage to the gut, and really cause a lot of oxidative stress in the body. And this oxidative stress is what creates a lot of this inflammation and damage to the cells and drains the body. And this is why Chelsea will be talking later with us about the phytonutrient spectrum, where we have all these antioxidants we can get from the world around us and our foods to negate some of these effects. But we're fighting up against a lot. But what I will say is that we have more tools than ever. We have so many cool herbs and availability to such great superfoods to be able to really even the playing field here. But still, the toxicity of the world is a very big thing because it continues more and more. And so, for example, it used to be 1 in, I think, maybe 1,000 people would be an autistic. Now it's 1 in 40. They'll say in 10 years, they predict it's going to be 1 in 20. And another 10 years, it'll be 1 in 10 people have autism. So it's obviously not just genetics. It's really, some people are more sensitive to this toxicity through their genetics. But it's very apparent that toxicity is a huge part in playing a big role in this, and our world's only getting more toxic. So we want to get this stuff out. Everyone's got tons of these toxins, and they're affecting us in some way. But everyone has a different threshold as well. There's 37 different drugs just in our water. So, and there's electromagnetic radiation all around. There's high stress. There's all the drugs and things that people are taking, and again, through the water supply. So it's not any one, it's kind of, we're in this toxic soup that's all around us. And this is the exposome that we want to try to modify. And so our body removes toxins through the liver. It does it through various other organs as well, but the liver is the prime organ that does this the best. And when it's healthy, it's able to process it well to make it a much safer compound, to be able to excrete it through the bile to go into the colon. And then if the colon is healthy and there's not too much intestinal permeability, it's going to be able to move it out of the system safely and effectively without too much reabsorption. That's why this gut health is so important to do first before we do any kind of extensive detox. It's just a lot safer and a lot more effective. And we'll actually use some binders inside the gut, and we'll talk about that later, to bind this up, to escort these things out of the body. But the healthy liver also can make it water soluble, so it can be excreted out of the kidneys with ease. And so that's what's going on when it's working. And so this liver is the blood filter. It's the security guard of the system. It tells you who can come in and who to really kick out of the body. But when we accumulate too much, I mean, this can happen for a lot of reasons, but actually one of the biggest sources of toxicity is actually your gut. That's kind of like the answer to a lot of the things that we'll be discussing. The gut is so central to it all. It's one of the main players and why we're focusing it on that first phase. But in the second phase, in the second month, we're going to do a liposomal cellular detox that uses the most advanced technology to get these things out. And so, when this is happening, a lot of toxicity is coming from the liver, it's coming through our skin, coming from our foods, and the liver gets overwhelmed. And when it's overwhelmed, we have gallbladder stagnation, and the liver gets stopped up. And there's a back release valve that gets released back into the bloodstream. And then it goes into vulnerable organs of the body. So if you have brain issues already, you might have brain fog or feel really bad and depressed and not be able to focus. But in general, it goes to where the fat is, because most of these toxins are fat soluble. And that's why so many of these toxins will go into your adipose tissue, slowing down your metabolism, poisoning the mitochondria themselves at the most base level of our cells. And that causes metabolism problems. I have so many patients that come to me and they're on perfect diets and they're exercising multiple times a week. They're like even restricting calories and things, and they still can't lose weight, or they lose weight and then they have to be on this perfect diet. Anytime they cheat, they have issues again. It's because, your diet is one piece of it, and it's very important. But when there's cellular dysfunction and the mitochondria themselves are damaged and we don't have enough of them, our metabolism is tanked regardless, and we're going to not feel optimally healthy. But if we can really, get these things out of the cells themselves, and we can get them out of the brain, where a lot of this goes. That's why there's such a big connection between neurological dysfunction and toxicity. We really can, restore these, again, base systems and sources of inflammation to reset the rest of the systems of the body. And so we want to take care of our disposal system. And so there's this concept of toxic tolerance threshold. It's basically saying we all have a bucket inside of our bodies, and there's numerous factors that are contributing and going in this bucket that create inflammation. Environmental toxins is a huge, huge part of that, especially if you have heavy metals or mycotoxins from mold and other kind of more serious ones. But there's so many, and they all have an interplay connecting with each other. And that's a really good point, because you could study one thing and that can have a problem even at pretty small levels. For example, BPA, that is on plastics, and we get a lot of residues of these estrogens just from touching receipts, for example. And you think, okay, just touching a receipt for a short moment, that's not going to cause any problem. But when you look at the lab work, a lot of you are my patients, when we look at hormones, we're looking at picograms per milliliter, right? Picograms is 10 to the negative 12 zeros, right? And so in those kind of cases, small amounts can actually have a relevant physiological function and effect. And it's not just that one toxin. Like we said, there's hundreds of these at lower levels that can lead and add up to synergize in a bad way to affect your health negatively. But there's a lot of other things that go in this bucket as well: psychosocial factors, allergies and sensitivities, the foods you're eating. And this genetic predisposition is this release valve here. Because the people that I've seen, because again, I've looked at thousands of people with genetics. This is a place that I specialize. And the people that are really sick, especially when they're young and are eating really healthily, why are they sick? Because they have genetic dysfunction and the ability to break down a lot of these toxins. And we live in a really toxic world, so when you can't break down toxins, you are the canary in the coal mine, unfortunately. So these people are the more sensitive of the bunch, and they're the ones that are getting sick first and foremost. Maybe some of you are like that. But I have to say, patients that are extremely sensitive to toxins, they're sensitive in a lot of other ways as well, just to other people, and they're great listeners. And there is, an interesting connection that I've made there. And so it's all these genetics, as we talk about that'll be one of the sessions. They aren't saying that we are going to get any particular disease. Genetics is just 20% of the picture. 80% of it is epigenetics, which we'll talk more about. But you have control over it. And so when we have too much of this, this is when we're starting to have symptoms. We have imbalances in the various systems when this is overloading. And the point is, well, a lot of times I'll say, before I get to the point, is that people are really just trying to use anti-inflammatories, whether they're natural or we use a steroid because we're not feeling well, right? So there's this fire of inflammation in the body. Let's put it out. Yeah, that's a good first step, and we have to do that a lot of times, regardless, natural or allopathic. But if you just do that and you don't take away the burning wood that's causing the fire in the first place, you're just going to keep on fighting this battle. And so, we really want to drain this bucket first and foremost, because, when you just do the superficial work here, you might feel a little better for a while. You take out these inflammatory foods and you bring it back again, you start having issues. But if you can empty this bucket, and again, everyone has different factors that are in your individual buckets. And this is what, why we're trying to individualize it for you. This is why there will be labs and things that are offered, at the end if you want to go deeper. But, through their symptoms that you're going to fill out, if you haven't already, in your patient portal, we'll be able to see what's going on and be able to help you isolate these things and address these things very specifically. And so, we can't affect the drain speed sometimes, but then if we know, we can actually give you the things you're missing. So even genetics aren't something that are causative. You have so much control. And that's really what I want to share with you throughout this entire healing journey, empowering us with the tools and the know-how, how to keep ourselves healthy for the future, whatever happens. So toxic load, this is just the concept of this total body burden that has a cumulative detrimental effect on physiology in all ways. So even the WHO and the CDC recognize that 30 to 40% of childhood illness is associated with environmental toxins. A lot of the epidemics of cardiovascular disease and immunological and neurological disorders are also connected, like Alzheimer's, for example. And so I don't agree with the WHO and the CDC on a lot of different things, especially some of the management that's been done in this recent crisis. But, even they, who really are somewhat biased, whether it's financially, whether it is just, being of the old paradigm, they even recognize the extreme importance of addressing toxicity in our world. Okay, so I think it's very important that we do this work, because if we don't, it can lead into a lot of oxidative stress and inflammation that leads to a lot of cancers, weight gain, lower metabolism, again, because they're poisoning that mitochondria themselves. This can lead into autoimmune disorders, which there's so many. You're just attacking yourself. There's too much inflammation. And again, all these toxins, we have neurological diseases, neuropsychiatric issues, depression, anxiety, we're fatigued, not feeling well, we're in pain. We get allergies and asthma because of all this inflammation. And it's definitely connected with cardiovascular outcomes, stroke, heart attack, etc. And so, this is why I created the cleanse. And I'm so glad for all of you that are joining me on this journey. I'm going to break it down, kind of just the overview of what we'll be doing here. The first month, we're really focusing on digestive health, as we've been discussing. It's one of the root sources of inflammation in the body. And we'll be using this 5R framework of gut restoration. And when the exit is good and we're absorbing the nutrients of all our food so much better, then we can do a month of detoxification here to really just get out a lot of these things that are no longer serving us. So whether that's the toxins or the habits, this is going to be working on multiple levels, I hope, for each of you. This detoxification protocol that we'll be using the most advanced liposomal nanoparticle technology. And I really love this stuff because it's just like an IV of these nutrients directly into your system. So they're little squirt bottles, and the liquids have these liposomes, which are fat spheres, and inside are the medicines, and they're at nanoparticle size, so super, super small. And you skirt them underneath your tongue, you're able to go directly into the bloodstream, into the cells where these toxins are, for example, to be able to upregulate your own body, that it knows really best how to deal with these, to break these down and get them out of the system. So we have a push catch. We'll push it, and then we'll catch it with binders to make it safe and effective. So all these things, just so you know, are included with the cleanse. So you don't need to purchase anything. So, we have these weekly sessions that we'll be doing together, but the supplements are coming as well. And, we'll be shipping those for everyone that's registered this week. And so, with supplements or not, really the goal I would like all of you to gain is really just a better understanding of your body and the beautiful interconnectedness of it all. Everything is interconnected, and we'll be diving into each system one at a time, and I'm going to be your tour, and we'll be going to GI health first and foremost. We'll be going to blood sugar, adrenals, and the stress response. Okay, so a lot of times we have a lot of hormonal imbalances, anxiety, etc. because our blood sugar is going just haywire all over the place. Our adrenals are just tired from all the stress of our world. So we'll talk about how to optimize that. Then 3, this is a big one right now, you know, it's COVID and the chaos that's going on. We all want to strengthen our immune systems. So I feel like I would like to even address COVID more specifically. I do feel like I have a very unique insight and understanding of what's going on and how really to prepare ourselves if that's something you're concerned about. So we'll be talking about the immune system at large though. We're also going to be looking at the hormones and how they're all interconnected and how really, again, the liver is the manufacturing plant which we make these hormones. So most people have hormonal imbalances. We can give them all the bioidenticals and things we want, but if you don't fix the liver, you're not going to make them yourself. So that's why this work is so important. We'll go into my experience with genetics, how I specialize in that. We'll talk about epigenetics as well. Week 5, we're going to be starting the detox at this time. Okay, this is the second month, so we'll talk about really how to detoxify our life and our environment and live just a very clean life so we don't collect more once we get these things out of our system. Week 6, we're going to be doing a cardiovascular component here, talking about mitochondrial energy metabolism, just how to really optimize and supercharge these mitochondria so we can enhance our muscle strength, our energy, and our cognition fully. And then week 7, talking about cognition, you know, I think our brain is one of the most important organs, and our brains are really what separate us from the other animals. So our prefrontal cortex, I guess, other animals have brains too, most definitely. So we want to be able to optimize this because this is our most precious resource, and dementia and Alzheimer's is on an all-time high. And we're going to talk about just neuroplasticity and how to keep that, how to enhance that. So we're able to have resilience and adaptability, not just in our body, but our mind as we age as well. So we will also be trying to individualize this. That's the point of a lot of this. We're going to be going through these different systems to educate you to be your own healer through this process. We will do that through the paperwork you'll fill out, and you just go back to your past emails to look at the patient portal link, which has some basic stuff like an MSQ, which you'll fill out the first session right now, and you'll fill it out the end, and we'll be able to see your progress. So a lot of patients drop in half the first month and they drop another half in that second month. So that's with, you know, personal individualization, but we're really going to try to individualize this as best as we can, you know, in a reasonably. And we're doing that also through these check-in hours that we're providing. So once a week on Fridays from 12 noon to 1, and this is also going to be recorded as well. We're going to have these office hours to answer common questions if you need more support. And you'll also be able to submit questions online. So just look out in the next email. We're going to be looking at the different questions, ways to submit these questions. And we will giving modifications and suggestions for each person, again, because everyone is unique. At the end of the day, just take what serves you and implement what works for you. Okay, you can leave the rest. And we will be going through a general food plan. We're going to go into details next time, but we're not going to go too much right now. But the point is just to reduce inflammation, a lot of these inflammatory foods, and be able to eat a lot of phytonutrient-dense foods to heal our gut, encourage healthy elimination of our toxins, cut a lot of the sugar and things that are feeding all the fungus and bacteria. And through that process, really understanding more about what foods really work for us and which ones may be causing problems. And so again, we're going to go into a lot more detail in the future, but really, you know, it's not going to be expecting perfection in any way. As long as you're just trying to do this in some way, you know, that's going to be helpful. Supplements are going to do a lot of it, but the more you're able to do this and commit, the more gains you're going to make. So definitely full commitment into the diet, into doing the protocol. It's going to be the most effective way to make progress, of course. So now we're going to have our second portion, our little break here, to be able to go over just some things specific about practical implementation regarding foods, and a little food demo by Ms. Chelsea Albo.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure to be here. So I was one of those canaries in a coal mine. I had quite bad leaky gut and, you know, a lot of symptoms because I was eating the wrong foods for my body. And once I started to learn and implement some of these techniques, a lot of my symptoms went away. And once I started implementing some of the stress management from my previously stressful work, and now I get to do this, and it's such a joy to be here. So we will chat a bit about phytonutrients and phyto, plant, nutrients, nutrient, and it's basically a fancy word for different compounds and colors that are in our foods. And so these contain a high level of antioxidants, which combat the oxidative stress that is in our world. You know, we have a ton of it happening right now with the world situation. There's financial pressures, there's health pressures and stress. So we need to be combating this so we dampen the free radicals in the body, bring down the inflammation. It also improves our immunity when we have more of these phytonutrients, and improves our microbial biodiversity when we're eating a variety of vegetables and fruits. And these are things that, like, yeah, we know, we've heard. However, this challenge of us coming together to actually implement more of these different types of fruits and vegetables and food opportunities. So we will have some kitchen and weekly food demos every week. And then we'll have also some lifestyle interventions. So I'm going to take you over here to the island where we've set up a beautiful phytonutrient rainbow, and I'd love to share this with you. Also part of this, before we head there, we have this epidemic culturally of leaky gut. A lot of us have this. And it's not just leaky gut, as David explained, it's also leaky brain, leaky mitochondria, which are our energy production centers, leaky cardiac system. So when our gut is leaky, all these other systems follow. And when we can do this gut work and repair the tight junctions, everything else will balance as well. And, you know, our guts are like the soil in the earth, and the soil in the earth can take a number of months to rebalance itself from all this toxins and trauma and things that the earth is currently going through. And our guts are the same. And this is one of David's favorite plant allies, holy basil in a pot. So just an invitation, whether you join us on this or not, but even if it's like planting a few seeds in a soup can on your steps, or actually cultivating some herbs in a garden on your balcony, just the invitation to work with a plant ally and grow with them and see what kind of things you can learn from each other. So I'm going to take us over to this phytonutrient rainbow. Here we go. So we have some of our carotenoids down here, which are our oranges, reds. We have some beautiful sea vegetables and some blueberries and some anthocyanins down here as well. So we have a beautiful rainbow assortment that we can. We have this beautiful rainbow assortment that we can draw from that's set up to be nourishing us. And we want to eat as much of the spectrum as we can. And we'll be incorporating new foods every week. We have also some like coconut products as well. So we're cutting out and minimizing a lot of plastics and processed foods, but you know, we're human and not everything is able to happen that way because we live in this culture. This is a stevia from our garden. And then we will head back over here and I'll share my screen. So we'll chat about a few more things before we move on to our food portion. So those are just some of the delicious things we will be diving into. Another important thing to mention is, you know, ideally we're going to be shopping as much organic as possible. However, there is something called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, although this year it's technically Dirty 13. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can we see the screen right now? Thumbs up, thank you. So this is the Dirty Dozen, the Environmental Working Group 2020 Shoppers Guide. They produce a new one every year. And it's just a guideline to these are the foods that are ideal to purchase organic because they have the highest content of pesticides and chemicals when studied. So these ones here: strawberries, spinach, kale, nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, potatoes, and 13 is hot peppers. And then the clean 15, so if you're more on a budget and or maybe you don't have access to all of your regular grocery stores or farmers markets because of the situation we're in, these are the ones that it's more safe to purchase non-organic. So we have avocados, sweet corn, however, watch out for the GMO corn, pineapple, onions, papaya, sweet peas, eggplant, asparagus, cauliflower, cantaloupe, broccoli, mushrooms, cabbage, melon, and kiwi. So that's just a tip to remember for the year. David also reviewed a bit of our Renew food plan. We're going to go deeper into this next week, the full food plan, recipes, and comprehensive guide. But this is just a snapshot of some of the things that we can include in our diet. And we really want to be focusing on like what we can have and not so much feeling sad about what we can't, because there's really a lot of amazing things that we can include and make beautiful, delicious meals that can inspire us with color and with stabilization of our systems. This is the general list of things to minimize and eliminate. We mentioned a few: gluten, high glycemic, sugar, dairy, grains, legumes, alcohol, coffee, processed things, plastic things, and like the wonderful author Michael Pollan suggests, if it came from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, don't. So that's a cute reminder. And also remembering, you know, we are human and we're busy, and so we will share some great online opportunities of places to order healthy things from, like Thrive Market and Imperfect Foods, all in our welcome guide. So a few things we can set up for the cleanse. We want to prepare our kitchen. We want to stock up on some basic oils, spices, and really getting clear on the intention for joining this. I find for me, I'm much more motivated to complete something if I know what my why is. So why do you want to be healthy? What is your health for in this lifetime? Is it because you want to spend more time with family, or more time moving, or more time creating? Really sit with that. And we encourage some journaling and self-reflection throughout the process, guided by these beautiful grounding and rebalancing practices that Danielle will be sharing. Also preparing our space, so we'll be drinking plenty of filtered water. If you can set up a water filtration system in your home, that's ideal. Also just setting up a space in your home that feels comfortable to move in and that you can be just having as a place to ground every day. And then also, you know, staying connected with each other in the group, and we're all in this together. We will have a private Facebook group where we can do weekly challenges, connect with each other, and inspire each other with our rainbow meals or things we're finding in nature, etc. This is another phytonutrient document that will be shared in this first week. And yeah, and then this is the welcome guide that will be shared as well when we register. So that is just a brief welcome of our welcome package. And now we're going to dive into making a delicious dessert, and I believe David is going to hop over and help me with this. But I will just turn my screen here so we can see what we are making. And we are making today an avocado chocolate mousse. So while this is some stevia, like I said, from the garden. So while we aren't having processed sugars, we can have things like stevia, and stevia you can get already powdered and ground as well. And so just watch for things like weird additives like maltodextrin or natural flavors, and ideally you want to have a stevia that's like green and the least processed possible. So these are some stevia leaves that we're drying, and then when they're dry, we'll put them in a coffee grinder, and then that'll be our sweetener.
And there's also extracts too.
Yeah, there's extracts and tinctures and powders as well. So you don't have to be growing this if that's not your thing. It's accessible as well. And stevia also has a bit of a distinct taste. So some people also prefer monk fruit extract, which is just this is it here. Looks like sugar, but it's not glycemic, doesn't spike the blood sugar, and doesn't have any weird additives. So today we will make a chocolate avocado mousse, and that involves just a couple of avocados. So we are going to just cut this one up. And these avocados and coconut are, maybe we'll just bring that back because we can't see. Thank you. I just want to make sure everyone can see what we're doing. Thank you. There we go. I think that's better. Thanks, babe. And then we will add our avocado to a blender of any kind that you have. You can also use like a hand mixer, or even just mash it up with a potato masher. Put our avocado in here. We will take some organic coconut cream, pop that in there. And great thing about this dessert is it has like healthy, stable fats. And in this food plan, we're not as concerned about like calorie counting or anything like that. This is not the goal, but we do want to have a good proportion of healthy proteins, healthy fats, and carbohydrates. So that's going to be more the way we're looking at things. And these fats are great because they help to stabilize our blood sugar. And many of us female body ones, some of our like hormonal imbalances and our adrenal issues and our fatigue are due to not having stable blood sugar. So the more we can incorporate things like coconut, avocado with our meals regularly, we're going to start feeling better. So we have those two in there. And then this is cacao that we've just ground up in our coffee grinder. And it's also a great caffeine substitute because you may have noticed and felt very sad that coffee is on that list, and you can transition off of it. This is a great substance to use in its place instead of a morning coffee. And cacao is loaded with magnesium. Magnesium is great for the nervous system and balancing, and cacao also has more antioxidants than blueberries, which is pretty incredible. So we just add a bunch of that in there. And then we add the amount of sweetener that we'd like. And with things like monk fruit and stevia, you need about like a fifth to a quarter of the amount that you would sugar. So it's really just like a little bit. And then I'm just gonna throw some of these stevia leaves right in there too. Normally we would dry them, but let's just see how this works.
I would just say depending on the extract, some are a 1-to-1, some need a little, so it depends on the individual one.
Yeah, that's true. And then you can even throw in a little bit of vanilla should you choose. And again, it's really important to read labels. That's another big thing that we'll focus on is just weird fillers and additives and flavors and things. We want to avoid those because they can cause more damage to our gut. They can build up in our liver. And yeah, so I'll go give it a little shake. Hope that's not too loud.
Yeah.
Okay, hope we didn't blast your ears off, but there we go. So then we have our mousse. So instead of actually plating this one is coming, I would keep blending it a little bit more, maybe add a little bit more coconut. But there's two in the fridge because these avocados, you kind of want it chilled because it's a mousse. And we made some earlier. And then we just have them here. It's basically a mousse. You can throw some delicious anthocyanin berries on top, some papaya for those digestive enzymes, some mint from your garden, and then, yeah, cheers. And then you can enjoy your dessert together. So I wish everyone could try this. Ideally, we would do these in person and we would pass it around. So those have to imagine and collect these things and do it at home. It's even more inspiration to do it yourself. So that concludes kind of the food portion for today. And I'd love to open it up for, do you have more to share? Do you want to do questions?
Yeah, no, I'm going to go back to my computer. I'm just,
okay.
Thank you
Cheers.
for this. I can't wait to taste this.
And we're going to have David hop on again soon.
All right, that was wonderful. That's one of my favorite desserts by far. There's so many good ones that you can eat though, and that taste good, and I love eating this way. And it's not for very long, honestly. You know, I think it's hard. Again, the point is that you don't need to be perfect. So I'm going to share my screen again. We'll just finish things up here. And so, you know, a lot of us are going on this remarkable healing journey already, and I'm so glad that we're doing this. This is what's included for everyone that's part of this journey. So 90 minutes, we'll meet once a week, every Wednesday, and this is our live community cleanse session. And we'll have 3 components, a clinical component going through different systems of the body. We'll have a conscious practice component, and then we'll have a food-based workshop or demo portion as well. You will have 1 month of supplements and 1 month of detox, and in the second month, and digestive supplements in the first month. That is included. We will also have a 1-hour week group office hour, and this is optional, but you know, if you have questions, if you need more help individualizing things, this is an offering that you can take advantage of. And you can also send in questions, and we'll record those answers, and then you can actually see the office hour in your educational platform. And this is also where a lot of the recorded weekly sessions will be. So if you missed it, or if you're too busy, if you forgot, you can always go back to watch it, kind of keep in connection and contact with us, and or show up on Fridays. During this educational platform, we will be able to utilize a lot of the food plans, the comprehensive guides and schedulers and recipes as well. So all of that is in your platform. We also have a Facebook group to be able to keep connected and inspire each other. You guys will have a discount off any supplements that are desired through this process. If anything else you need to individualize things really specifically for your issues. And then you guys will have discounts and things off future work if you want to, you know, do anything at our clinic in the future. A lot of these things, again, are optional, but, you know, we are just so happy and so excited that so many people have joined us already. This is going to be a collective healing journey where we can support each other to really do this deep work that can really transform our health from the roots up. And so, you know, I told you about the end of this, you would understand really why these root systems are so important. We can really balance these, how we can reset all the other systems on top with ease and grace. So I hope you guys will join us for this journey if you haven't already. And even if you've just found a tremendous benefit or some kind of benefit from today, it doesn't have to be tremendous. I'm personally very happy. I think we're going to be going through an amazing journey together, and I hope you guys join us. All right. We're going to meet next Wednesday. That's going to be the next time, and that's when the supplements are going to be shipped out. You'll have it by then. And so that will be on May 27th, and we will start to cleanse together on May 28th, which is actually my birthday. So, you know, this is one of the most beautiful birthday presents to be able to do this all with you guys to start this tremendous journey together. So I look forward to seeing you guys then. All right, and if you guys have any questions, you can go to admin@integrativewellnessrx.com. You can message us there. You can go to drdavidmorcom.com if you have more questions about the cleanse and the details. But also in the chat there's going to be a direct link to be able to go to our site to be able to join us if you haven't already. All right, see you guys next week.
So we do have a couple questions. I realize we're close to the end of our time container and want to respect everyone's time. However, I'll just mention a few that were in the chat. Why do we have to give up coffee, from Lisa? Great question. That one was hard for me. But coffee, if we have adrenal issues, it can kind of like drain the energy from our adrenal stores. So it's like taking a loan out and not being able to repay it. And it can be hard on our nervous system. Do you want to add anything, David, around the coffee?
Yeah, I mean, when we're in that fight or flight response, that just takes us out of the parasympathetic response where we really can break down our foods and detoxify our bodies. And so, it's if you have a little bit here and there, it's not going to ruin everything, but doing it regularly does affect our nervous system and really just drains our system long term. And so we're going to go in actually week 3. We're going to be talking a lot of cool caffeine substitutes and tonics and elixirs and how to make these ourselves. And these things actually will tonify the body to strengthen our adrenals. And also just helps us adapt to our world. It's not just a stimulant. So if you're really, anxious and things, it brings us down more resilient and calm as well. So I love these adaptogens. I can't wait to share more of that with you guys.
Second question, does this system have meat, from Melissa? And yes, it does actually encourage high quality proteins. So while we don't suggest like highly processed meats like cold cuts or things like that, there's lots of wild caught fish, there's grass-fed beef, grass-fed bison, quality organic poultries. There's lots of meats if you choose. And if you are not a meat consumer, there are also options for other types of proteins to incorporate, and we can work through that as well. Any more on that, David?
No, that's great. What's the last question?
Couple more. So is this a permanent way of eating, or is it just until the gut has healed, from Phyllis? That's a great question, because I think some folks will see this and be like, I'm not giving up those things forever. But the intention is not forever. The intention, just like with supplements, is not a permanent way. It's to allow enough space and time for the body and its systems to heal, to like regenerate that soil. So ideally, in our guts, so ideally we can consume most things and we don't have these sensitivities. So over time, you'll know what foods work for you and what ones don't. And some you'll maybe choose to reintroduce, and some you'll be ready to just pass on for good. So it's not permanent, and you're ultimately like your own healer and your own guide, but this is just for a time. Like 4 to 8 weeks is the minimum, 8 to 12 weeks is ideal of cutting out these foods, and then you can begin to reintroduce.
Yeah, I would say that with the supplements as well, though, we really speed up the whole process. We have this synergy here, and that's why we do it all at once. Because again, if we just change our diet and try to focus on that, I have so many patients that come see me and they're still having issues even though they're on a perfect diet. But we're able to do that 5R framework and combine it with diet for a short period of time. In a single 2 months, we actually can reset some things very well, and really our symptoms can drop in half.
And then one last question from Melissa. Do we have to stop taking the supplements that we're already on, I'm guessing, during this period, or do you take new ones with all the other supplements? So if you have a regimen you're already on, I'll let David handle this one.
Yeah, okay, thank you. This is a common question, and the point really is that we don't want to overwhelm you. And if you have supplements that you feel like that they really benefit you and they help you, then of course you can continue that. But really, just by focusing on the gut for a short period of time, at the end of this, any food that we make for ourselves, we're going to be able to absorb that much better. Any supplements we are taking, they're going to work that much better as well. So we just want to focus on this root work, and we want to do a good job here and commit to that. And when we can do that, really, hopefully we don't even need as many supplements after that.
And then there was a question about pricing. I just put the link in to register, so it contains all this information and more about the supplements and about the process and how to engage with this. And
yeah, and I'd like to just answer that. And so the cost is $4.99, and I'm just really proud of that because that's just the cost of the supplements alone. And so, I didn't mention, but as many of you know, my initial consult's over $400 in itself. And so this is a tremendous opportunity to work together and do this transformative work to make it very accessible. And that is the primary goal here during this time of COVID, where a lot of people are stressed financially. This is a gift that I'm going to be putting lots of work and love into with Chelsea and Danielle to make something of true worth for you guys. And so we hope that you find some benefit regardless, and whether you join us or not, and we would love to have you. So yeah.
And one more question, does one need to do blood tests before and after, from Susan?
No, definitely not at all. We are doing some assessment. That's why we asked to get some basic paperwork and symptoms so we can better individualize things. But this root work is just going to be helpful regardless. And a lot of times, a lot of the leaves that we're browning will start turning green already. At this point, a lot of the symptoms start improving, and then you can just refine and optimize from there. So people that are wanting to do further work to fully kind of fine tune and optimize things or have more difficult issues going on, they're going to have a discount to be able to do the whatever work they need to do and find more in-depth empirical data. So for example, some of the labs, we're able to look at all the nutrients, all the minerals, all the vitamins of the body, so we know exactly what's missing and how to replace it. We're also looking at gut measures like malabsorption and fungal bacterial overgrowth. Again, these are the things that are causing the damage. So we really want to see what's there. And then we'll be looking at mitochondrial energy production and metabolism itself, this root source of energy in our bodies. And then we'll look at toxicity and heavy metals, see our bodies keeping up with that, how much of that bucket is full. So we also can look at genetics and things as well. But that was just one test even. We have so many things available to us, and you know, a lot of times we don't need such in-depth work, but especially when things are a little more chronic, things are more difficult, we want to get labs to guide us so we can use our intuition and use empirical data. Okay. Well, again, if there's any other questions, you can email us at admin@integrativewellnessrx.com. Please go to the website if you aren't registered yet and want to join us. Otherwise, to all those who have joined already, thank you so much, and I'm so excited that you've joined us on this journey, and I can't wait to learn and grow together and practice together over the next couple of weeks. So talk to you guys next Wednesday.